What you missed on The Breakfast Huddle with Elliott, Danker, Yasmin, Jonkers, and Ryan Huang. Only on Money FM 89.3.
What an interesting conversation we're about to have with one Ms. Chiara Corazza, the Managing Director of the Women's Forum for the Economy and Society. Now, get this, it is the world's leading platform that brings in some of the most outstanding leaders, men and women from across the world to build bridges between generations, countries and cultures.
Yeah, the Women's Forum is also ranked among the top 5 most influential forums worldwide. Pretty impressive. It believes that women leaders' distinctive capacity to create positive impact will be on their employees, the communities, societies, and more importantly, they focus not just on gender, but also on humanity issues. And I believe Ms. Chiara Corazza, who's the Managing Director of the Women's Forum for the Economy and Society, has flown in just from Paris. Have you now, Chiara, from Paris?
Yes, good morning. Not only I'm flying from Paris, but I'm very excited. The day starts in a very exciting way for us because the Bleu are in final again, and I'm very proud about that.
Yeah.
And of course, I watched the match tonight. Coming back to women, it's just half the planet. Women are just more than half of the active population, but they just gave 30% of the GDP worldwide. There's urgency to take in account of the added value that women can bring in economy and society, not only because they have a long-term vision, not because they have a differentiation vision, but just because it's fact and figures. If we had more diversity, by 2025, we would create 240 million new jobs worldwide, men and women, of course, and we will add in the GDP something like $28 trillion. Then you can imagine how it would be a waste not to use this potential, this energy, and this, again, added value. There were at the Women's Forum, that's our job. It's really to see how we can contribute to create a better world, a more inclusive world, as you said, a more progressive world, a more just world, through the voice of women and through the capacity of them to be change makers.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be the Women's Forum Singapore. That's what you're here for. What exactly will be on the conversation cards this year?
We decided to choose Singapore because Singapore is a hub. It's the global cities. I've been active in investment for many years, and this year Singapore is the second most attractive city in the world in terms of investments. It's like a scoop because the study just came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's the Global Cities Investment Monitor by KPMG, and it's, by the way, Paris is third. And as you know, the competition is very hard in cities to attract talents, capitals and investment. And of course, if the Women's Forum, who is an attractor, who is in powerful players, decided to come to Singapore, it's also because Singapore has this capacity to give visibility, to be a model, to be like a showcase of the best practices. And what we want to do here, it's because Singapore is at the edge of innovation and as smart cities, is to use this wonderful platform of Singapore as pioneer of leadership of women in business in all the ASEAN region.
Oh.
As you know, this year Singapore is chairing the ASEAN and celebrating the 15 years of ASEAN. And from here, Singapore, we will go spread abroad in the 10 countries of the ASEAN, the 10 ASEAN countries, to show how with women we can really make the difference in smart cities, in designing the future of the cities, in mobility. And myself on the board of the RATP, one of the largest transportation companies. And we see when the women participate in the board, we can bring really a different vision. But also artificial intelligence, extremely important. In a disrupted world, we cannot imagine that we create artificial intelligence just by men. You know that actually there's 95% of engineers are white, 50 years old, and men. We are creating a base world. This is one of the topics of the Women's Forum here.
Yeah, there has to be more balance in that.
Yeah,
in terms of talent distribution and talent development, I would say.
Absolutely, and also we can insist on that. Impacting climate change are mostly women impacted, and by women we can have a different impact because most of women use coal, cook. I mean, in poor countries especially, it's not the case much. Deforestation. We have also to involve more women in finance. Here in this part of the world, women are very good in wealth management. By the way, I don't know if you know that when one woman managing funds, the results are 28% better than when men manage funds.
Was that from a
Worldwide.
KPMG study?
Worldwide. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, my
That's
mother
good
used to manage the funds at home, and we did pretty good. Kiera, I'd like to pick your brain more on this, because you mentioned a couple of pressing global issues: talent distribution. You need to have the inclusiveness, and now you talk about money. How else can women, especially in our region, in ASEAN especially, how can they provide a distinctive vision or added value or innovative views? What else can they add?
To be there where things happen. Exactly.
Tell us more.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. For instance, you cannot imagine that they're not there to design the cars, the driverless cars, that they're not there to design the city of the future. They're not there to design cybersecurity. They're not there to take in account, that actually in the world there are only 25 women mayors among the 300 largest cities in the world. Only 25. By the way, one is in France. It's the head of the region of Ile-de-France. But there's so few. Here in Asia, you have just the mayor of Tokyo. Mm-hmm. This is something that's very important for the women.
Yuriko Koike, that's her
name. Exactly. I think this is something that the Women's Forum has to force. I mean, we have to be there where we can make the difference and bring something different in each field. You said it before, it's not only gender issues, it's humanity issues. Then once again, it's economy, finance. What's very important in this moment is how to have an investment driven in ethic, in sustainability, long-term vision, in infrastructures, education, and this is very often driven by women.
It is very true. I was going through a bit of a press release on the Women's Forum 2018, and I like how there is a theme called Bridging Worlds for Inclusive Innovation. Now, it sounds like everything that you've described, but I understand that there are 4 pillars to this. Could you share more about those pillars?
Yes. I mean, innovation is really the leitmotif.
Sure.
And then you have a first pillar who is really dedicated of the world is changing. I mean, in the usages and how the society should be more inclusive for women. For instance, how can we reduce the pay gap? How we can make that more women go in boards. For instance, here in Singapore, I saw the statistics. There are less than 10%. In France, we had to make a mandatory law to obtain 40%.
Oh.
But 40% in 5 years. That was an achievement. But many people were against because they didn't like something mandatory. Then each country is different. This is something we will discuss. Would we need a mandatory law or not?
Okay.
You see, this is the kind of thing. Then other pillars, of course, everything what I said about finance.
Yes, of course.
Important.
Sure.
Security, stability. Stability. You have countries around here that are very, very important. Like, imagine what could happen in Indonesia. 260 million of Muslim people. Tolerance, open-mindedness. One of the reasons we also appreciate so much to be in Singapore, that you have a role model with the president. She's Muslim, she's a woman. That's what we like, bridging the humanity. That's the Women's Forum. Right. And something very important that we will do during this forum, it's also to give confidence. When you come away from a Women's Forum, it's not just an event. It's like you belong to a community, of the big community of the Women's Forum. We are more than 10,000 worldwide. Mm-hmm. We will be 50 nationality, 50 different countries represented. And all these people will bridge, will network, will be business together, will give confidence. I did it, you can do it. Share success stories. Share that we can have role models. We will be something for the first time in Singapore. That's also an innovation, because innovation is there.
Tell us.
We will invite mother to bring their daughters or daughters-in-law.
That's nice.
A couple, a tandem.
Yeah.
Mother that will introduce in the Women's Forum her daughter, promote her, give the confidence. And I think this is something very corresponding to the Women's Forum. We're there to be solidar, to help each other, but in the nice sense of term, including in business, of course.
So that's why we've got to do this now.
We're speaking to Chiara Corazza, Managing Director of the Women's Forum for the Economy and Society. She, of course, is in Singapore for the Women's Forum Singapore 2018. Chiara, I like how earlier on you were talking about women being involved in finances. It does improve the finances overall. I'd like to bring you to a quote. We had a guest last week, Professor Lawrence Loh, Director of the Centre for Governance, Institutions and Organizations at the National University of Singapore Business School. They wrote a report. Now, according to the report from his office, adding one woman independent director on average is expected to increase financial performance by 11.8%. What's your opinion? Why is it women are better at managing finances?
I'm not sure that women are better.
Okay.
I think that we are just different, and differentiation brings added value. Then we don't take the same risk when we manage money. Women are protective.
Okay.
And long term. I mean, that's something that's congenital for us. And I think that when you have wealth management, of course, it's true that you try to invest more in ethic and long-term investment than men. We are more on the, I can say, in the continuity and on the pragmatic things. And very often that proves that it's very, very performant. I mean, all the studies demonstrated.
Yeah.
Worldwide, by the way.
Let's move on to smart cities.
Yeah, because at the Women's Forum Singapore 2018, smart cities, that's going to be on your agenda as
Absolutely.
well, right?
Absolutely.
So whenever you talk about smart cities, you talk about innovation. So we are rated as a smart city. Do you have any suggestions, perhaps?
One of the best one.
Thank you. But do you have any suggestions, perhaps, of how Singapore could be even smarter and then continue to be a leader and a role model around the world?
I think that is something that's very important. Women perspective, we have aging population in Singapore, in Tokyo, and in Asia.
Yeah.
Less in Europe and Germany, less in France, where the natality is very strong. Then I think that one of the issues is really how to take care of the elder people, especially women, that could be isolated. I mean, suicide, depression,
mental isolation. Yeah.
It's expecting, because it's something new. We didn't used to live such a long time before, and we didn't have people so much active so long time. Then the break from when you're active and when you get retired, it's very hard if you're alone and you have a woman more than a man. Then I think that in the cities there should be something. Singapore is already doing something. Have dinner together, be useful. I think that you have to be useful as much as you can. Give back to the community as much as you can. Like that you stay alive and you stay committed. And by the way, I think that's also responsibility to the new generation. There's a break now, especially in Europe, between the eldest and the youngest.
All right.
And this is something that we really want to do also in the Women's Forum. When you do with bridging humanity, it's also bridging generation.
Okay.
We are not in opposition with them.
Okay.
We have to make it continuous.
Okay. So you mentioned Seoul, you mentioned Singapore as sort of maybe the smartest cities in this region. But what other cities are you looking for perhaps around ASEAN or in our region that could be potential, like an upcoming area for smart city development that you really see a lot of potential in?
If you see the development of Asian cities compared to European cities, it's really spectacular. It's spectacular, but sometimes it goes too quickly.
Oh.
And really, I believe so. I think that's something that could be taken into account. I like very much, it's an architect who says that women would like to design cities like their own homes. Security. You feel secure.
Okay.
Yes.
You feel cozy.
Okay.
Yes,
You
yes.
feel comfortable. You feel you like beauty. I mean, we like to have nice things around.
Yeah.
And this is something that it's very feminine. We like light. We like, and of course, we like green areas. We like the new way of building. It's very important. I mean, I've been very active to create a Grand Paris. And in the Grand Paris, we are really trying to recreate a Paris on Paris and to reinvent something that makes, I don't know if in Singapore you do it, but something that I think it would be very important in Asian cities. It's urban farming. I know that
urban farming.
Urban farming.
Okay.
You see, the new generation, they all want to have low carbon impact.
Yes.
When they
Yes.
eat, they won't have the cart that just downstairs. They won't have the tomatoes that just come from. And I'm not joking. They're very careful about it. And it's nice because they know it's important for the climate change. And now that we design the cities of the future, we really have to take into account the fact that we should have more urban farming. And it's not just a bees or something, like gadget. I really talk about how to nourish the population of the city as it was before. In Paris, for instance, we're having experimentation. When you arrive to the airport, the Charles de Gaulle, and to go to the city, you have a long road. It's called the A1. And all around you have, for the moment, you are just different kind of culture. We would like to make it, again, culture for nourished people.
Oh, all right.
And we call that a happy valley.
A happy valley. So lots of urban
valley.
farms there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I see. Not just the dead, boring road that you see. It's
No,
asphalt.
exactly.
When you land from the plane and then you just see that long highway, it's not very nice.
Well, thank you very much for coming by the studio. We've been speaking to Chiara Corazza, Managing Director of the Women's Forum for the Economy and Society. We wish you the best of luck at the Women's Forum Singapore 2018.
Please join us and come to make plenty of energy and commit to engage and to have an impact on a future.